later, when we were about a year ago, she said, you know, I had 8 other guys I was dating. And I said, 8 other guys? I said, knock that stuff off. I said, the reason I can only spend a little bit of money on you. And these guys are taking you out every night. She said, I'm a good girl. I don't care if you're a good girl or not. I'm staying home, saving up to take it out Saturday, and you're going out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, this is a tribute. That's the light side. I want to thank Father Joseph and all those people that really, I had 3 lovely, I call them angels, that took care of me. Let's see, it was Jeannie, and it was Betty, and it was Corinne, but I'm not supposed to mention their names, so I'm not going to. But they were very good to Pat and me for a long period of time. My lovely wife and best friend. I met Pat while at Bellarmine. This is a Jesuit school. Are all the Dominicans out? Good news, they didn't hear that. Anyway, when I was at the Bellarmine, I learned that a good homily, I used to call it a sermon here, and they told me it's not a sermon, it's called a homily, talk, had 3 parts. An intro, a middle, and a conclusion. And never more than 2 hours. And I guarantee you, I will not take that long. Don't get up and leave, because the seats are going to be taken to some people standing. I first saw Pat across the crowded room. Remember that song, Across the Crowded Room? And what was going on, I was at Cal, at Ridge House, it's a co-op. And she was a co-op up the block. And during the Xmas holiday, they came down, the Central Ketchum did the serving, they came down and they served the men's co-op. And we vets, we were all vets, about 8 of us, we were at the table. We didn't mess with these freshmen, yo. We sat at the vets table. One of them was, is he taping this thing?
Yeah.
Oh. One of the guys was Zane Spicer, who isn't doing well, and Imo. We've been friends ever since we knew him 55 years ago. Well, anyway, these vets, we used to do something. Don't tell your kids. You ever do this? You put a spoon on a table, and you put a spit wad on the other end, and you go, bango, and the spit wad takes off. And Pat was going by this vet's table, looking at the stain in disgust. And I was looking, that's not a bad looking gal there. So a week later we had a mixer. That's where you came because there was this Christmas break. So all 60 of the girls came down to the place and danced, and we were on the other side. And I can still remember what she was wearing that first time I saw her. Spit wads. She had a gray skirt on and a blue sweater and sort of reddish moccasins. And this mixer dance, have you ever had a shoe dance? You know what a shoe dance is? Jeez, none of you guys know. Well, what it was, the girls were on one side, the guys are on the other, and you threw the shoes in the middle. And I saw that girl over there, and I saw that red moccasin. And man, did I hit that shoe. I was a blocking back then. I knocked those guys out of there so fast, and I picked up that red moccasin like I didn't know whose it was, but I did. And I walked over it, and you couldn't cut in because you were getting to know her. So I danced 3-4 hours. And I walked her up to her home, and I thought I had made a smash hit. Later in her diary, she said, rich somebody walked me home. Rich somebody. Holy. Anyway, that mixer followed 55 years and ended on the 29th with me holding her hand. And it was a great ride. It has to get off the merry-go-round sometime, but it was a great ride. This is supposed to be page 2. It is. And with God's grace, I'll be with her too. Not too long, I hope. Who was Pat? Well, you know, you all found out. These guys stole all my lines. Pat was a friend. She was touching people. You know, she was always connecting. But I got all this down. There's Barbie that's here. There's Al Villanova and Ben White. His parents are here. And they all said she was the best teacher they ever had. And I said to Miss White, who was a teacher, but remember, you didn't have your son. So, what is he? He's got his He's got some credentials back there. He's a full professor with tenure now. She's got guys that are all over the place. And Leo Cook just talked to me the other night. He said she made me work hard, and he hit a home run for her when she went to one of his ball games. And then there's Marlene Bryant. If you went on the blog, she had her. He's older than Mark is when she was in the 4th grade, and they still talk. They still connect. All you people here have connected with her, and I come and wonder why. Most of my are her friends because I got to know them. But she was, I want to pay credit to Fred Finelli. This is a doctor that took her first in cancer 16 years ago. And he says, oh, I'm so sorry. She used to write me limericks, and I wrote him limericks back. He's the head of the whole bloody hospital up there. We used to kid him. He had his medical degree, and he was a lawyer. And Pat said, now you can sue yourself. He thought that was just hysterical. And I talked to him the other day. All our nurses became friends. One poor gal called up today. She had taken off, assured me she was coming. Her nurse manager said 5 people came in sick, and she couldn't come. I thought she was going to be in tears. I mean, we got friends with the doctors. There's 2 of her last doctors that she had for cancer. Knew they couldn't cure her. Knew the hurdles that she was going through. And they hated to do it, but, you know, they have to err on some side. And 2 of them came to the hospital, not for getting any money. It was one day after she moved out of there, and 4 days before. One of them was just about in tears because he was so sorry he couldn't do anything. And I think the cancer doctors feel that way. They feel that way because it's not like the surgeon that can cut you open, fix you up. They knew they couldn't fix her up. And it was just killing him. It was just killing. He was in tears talking to Pat. I saw her the next day. About 3 days she wasn't talking anymore. She was a good listener. You heard that. She's a good storyteller. You heard that. Oh, Father David. I mean, all these things I got down in Big Paul, you all said it. She contributed to your knowledge. Father David wanted to tell me. Father David asked us to come over to the Newman Center. He'd say, I'd like you to come over. I'd like to have you for dinner. And you know what she said? Do you mind if you just serve us? He said. Just serve us. I don't want to. He says, oh boy, tell her. She's taught me so many things. I'll never forget this. But he had to leave to go do something. This was Father David. See, I'm not going through this pretty fast. Stoicism in the face of painful treatment. Somebody here today wrote that. She couldn't come, right? This Leo Cook said, a student taught me to work hard. 6th grade. Great story here. His father, he was in the 6th grade. He was sort of bright because all his daughters, Leo Cook's daughters, were Stanford, another Stanford student, Stanford graduates and stuff. And he came in to see Pat. Big man. We later became friends, and he said, his friend, Leo was his son, I wonder if you can tell me, Mrs. A, who the smartest man in the class is, who the smartest boy in the class is. She looked at Leo. Oh, no, who has the highest IQ? And she says, I do. And they became great friends. Great friends. He was the head of the school board. She refused to bow to her daunting medical history, and she rejected the pain that came. Pat seemed to defy all odds. She never said enough. Pat's presence with gifts made her a successful author who served her well in her ability to connect with other people. When Pat talked to you, you heard, but she listened to you too. I did the 4th grade sit already here now. There we go. There we go. I told you, Mickey. Mark, good thing I didn't see up there. You guys. She called me up times to say I was an inspiration, when in fact she was a true inspiration. People had said. These are other people's comments. She was definitely a memorable person. And to this day I recall more things she said that year from any other teacher I ever had. Perhaps it was all the way she insisted on controlling conversations. And she did do that. Another one, fantastic woman I ever met. These are people that said I was a salesman with blue eyes. And that's the other 8 guys, yeah.